the number you've got in your head right now is probably wrong. I've watched a man send almost $2,000 a month and still lose her. And I've watched another man spend maybe 300 and they are the happiest couple I know. Same country, same kind of girl, completely different ending. So the real question was never how much a Filipina costs. The real question is what you're actually paying for. And most men have no idea. And there's one expense nobody ever puts in the spreadsheet. It's not rent, it's not the plane ticket, it's not her family. And it's the one that quietly decides whether this whole thing works or falls apart in 18 months. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is before we finish. But I have to earn it first, so stay with me. Hi, I'm Mayumi, and today I'm giving you the full breakdown. Real numbers from the very first chat all the way to living together, including the family part that every foreign man is scared to ask about out loud. Nothing sugar coated, nothing pretty, just how it really is. If you enjoy watching my videos, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a video in the future. Thanks. Okay, let me start with the part that's going to annoy you a little bit. I promise it's worth it. Before I give you a single peso, I have to say something and I want you to hear the way I'm saying it gently, like a friend sitting across from you, not like I'm scolding you. She's not a cost. And I know why you search this. I'm not judging you for it, not even a little. You're not a bad man for wanting a number. You're being responsible. You're trying to find out whether you can afford a life before you go and promise it to somebody. Honestly, that's more than a lot of men ever bother to do. But here's what I've seen so many times. When a man starts thinking of her as a monthly bill, he slowly starts acting like a customer, and a customer expects service. He starts counting. He keeps a little scoreboard in his head. He sends something and then he waits to see what comes back. And she can feel that. I promise you, she can feel that. Filipinas are unbelievably good at feeling what a man actually means. Even through a phone screen, even in a text message with no punctuation. And when she feels like a purchase, one of two things happens. Either she leaves, or worse, she stays and she starts behaving like one. She gives you exactly what you paid for and nothing more. And then a year later, the man is telling everyone, see, it was about the money the whole time. No, you built that. You set the rules of the game, and she just played the game you started. But the man who asks the question a different way, who asks, what does this life honestly cost? And can I carry it without pretending to be someone I'm not? That man does beautifully here. Same question. Completely different heart. And she can feel that too. Okay. That's my one speech. Now let me give you the numbers because I promised you numbers. First, you need to understand what life here actually costs because most foreign men are working from a picture that came from either a scary article or somebody's highlight reel on the internet, rough exchange rate so you can follow along. Somewhere around 55 to 58 pesos for $1 depending on the week. I'll say both so you don't have to do math while you're driving. Rent. This is where the country splits in half. In the province, a simple little house or a small apartment, 3,000 to 8,000 pesos a month. That's roughly 55 to $140. I'm not exaggerating for the video. My cousin pays 4,500 for a two-bedroom with a little garden, and she genuinely thinks she's being ripped off. In Cebu or Davao, A decent one bedroom condo, 12,000 to 25,000 pesos. Around 220 to $450 in Metro Manila, in a nice area like Makati or Bonifacio Global City. A one bedroom will run you 25,000 to 50,000 pesos, 450 to about $900. And in the really beautiful buildings, more Manila is not cheap. Whoever told you the Philippines is cheap has never paid rent in Bonifacio. Food, this is where you win. A full meal at a local carinderia, 60 to 100 pesos, barely $2. Groceries for two people who actually cook at home, maybe 8,000 to 15,000 pesos a month, 140 to $270. But if you eat in malls and Western restaurants every single day, you will spend more than you spend at home. A steak in Makati costs Makati prices, not province prices. That's not the Philippines being expensive. That's you buying your own country back, one plate at a time. Electricity, here's the one that surprises every foreigner. Aircon. If you run the aircon like a Westerner, meaning all night, every night, because you are melting, your bill jumps to 5, 6, even 8,000 pesos a month. That's over $140 just to not sweat. Filipinos use the electric fan and sleep fine. You won't. I'm sorry, but you won't. Budget for the aircon and stop pretending you're tougher than the heat. Water, cheap, maybe 300 to 800 pesos. Internet, 1,500 to 2,500 pesos. For decent fiber, around 30 to $45. Get the fiber. Please get the fiber. Phone load, a few hundred pesos. Transport, a jeepney ride is 13 pesos. 13. A tricycle, 20 to 50. A grab across the city, 200 to 500, depending on traffic and how much the app hates you that day. So, put it together. A single Filipina living a normal, comfortable life in the province, 15,000 to 25,000 pesos a month covers her entire existence. 270 to $450 in Manila, living comfortably, 35,000 to 60,000, about 600 to $1,100. Now hold on to those numbers, because here's what most men never realize. A huge number of the women you're talking to are already covering that themselves. She has a job, call center, teacher, nurse, online seller, virtual assistant, government office. She is not sitting there waiting for your money in order to eat. She was surviving before you existed, and she'll survive after you. That matters. Remember that, because we're coming back to it at the end. Okay. Stage one, you're talking to her, long distance, nothing serious yet, or maybe it's getting serious. Here's the truth, and this one's going to make you feel good. This stage costs almost nothing. Video calls are free, messages are free, your time is free. And honestly, the first 3 months of a Filipino relationship are basically just talking, endless talking. Good morning, did you eat? Did you eat though? Good night. That's it. That's the entire economy. But there are little things, and I want to be honest about them because they're real. Load, phone credit. If she's on mobile data and she's on video with you 6 hours a day, that is actual money for her. Sending her 300 to 500 pesos of load is $5 to $9. It's a small thing, but it's a big thing. Do you understand the difference? It's not the amount, it's that you noticed she was spending something to be with you. Food delivery. This is the one I actually recommend to every man who asks me. She mentions she's tired, she hasn't eaten, it's raining, she's stuck at the office. You send her food, 300 to 600 pesos, 5 to $10. And I'm telling you right now, she will screenshot it and send it to her group chat. Not because it's expensive, because you were paying attention from 10,000 kilometers away and you did something about it. Little gifts, birthday, Christmas, maybe something small. So, realistically, the dating stage costs you somewhere between nothing and $100 a month. And if it's 100, that's already generous. Here's the part that matters more than the number though. At this stage, money should be a decoration, not the foundation. If a woman needs money from you before she's ever met you, before there's any real relationship built, that is information. I'm not saying it's automatically a scam. Sometimes life here really is hard, and sometimes something really did break, but it is information, and you should file it away quietly and keep watching. Because a real Filipina who likes you at this stage wants your attention far more than she wants your wallet. She wants you to remember her sister's name. She wants you to notice she changed her hair. She wants you to be annoyed when she doesn't reply. The load and the food are just proof that you're listening. Now, the visit. This is your first real expense and it's the biggest single number in this entire video. Flights from the United States, depending on the season and how lucky you are, $700 to $1,400 round trip. From Europe, similar or a bit more. From Australia, cheaper. From the Middle East, much cheaper. Hotel. And here's a tip nobody tells you. You don't need the five-star. A clean, nice hotel in Cebu or Manila runs 2,500 to 5,000 pesos a night. 45 to $90. A condo through an app, sometimes less, and honestly nicer for two people because it has a kitchen. The Shangri-La is beautiful. It is also not going to make her love you more. I promise you that. Food and dates for 2 weeks, maybe 30,000 to 50,000 pesos. 550 to $900. And that's eating very well. Domestic flights, if you go island hopping, Manila to Cebu, Cebu to Palawan, 2,000 to 5,000 pesos each. Very cheap. And this is the best money you will ever spend. Because she is going to remember those 3 days in El Nido for the rest of her life. She will not remember what you paid for dinner. She'll remember you being goofy on a boat. So, the trip. 2 weeks all in, including the flight, somewhere between 2,500 and $4,000. And you can do it for less. I know men who've done the whole thing on 1,800 and had the time of their lives. But listen, this is not a monthly cost. This is once or twice a year. So when you're building your budget, don't divide it by 12 and panic. Save for it, plan it, make it the good thing you look forward to. And here's a little loop I'm leaving open for you because I'm coming back to it. The men who spend the most on that first visit are almost never the men who succeed. I'll explain why later. Just remember I said it. Okay? Deep breath. Here's the part you actually clicked for. The family. We call it padala. It just means to send, and it is the single most misunderstood thing about Filipino women in the entire Western world. Let me explain what's actually going on because if you understand this one thing, you'll understand more about Filipinas than 90% of the foreign men who've ever come here. There's no real pension system here, no safety net, nothing like what you have. When my grandmother got sick, there was no government office to call. There was us. That was the entire system. So over generations, the family became the retirement plan, the health insurance, the unemployment benefit. All of it. The family is the institution because there wasn't another one. So when a Filipina starts earning, she sends money home. Not because someone is squeezing her, although sometimes someone is, and I'll be honest about that in a minute, but because it's simply what a person does. It's like paying tax. She's not doing anyone a favor. She's just being a daughter, a Filipina in a call center earning 25,000 pesos a month will send 5,000 of it home without even thinking about it. That's 20% of her salary every single month, and nobody had to ask her. Now, what does that mean for you? If she has a job and she's already supporting her family, and then you two get together, honestly, nothing has to change. She keeps doing what she was already doing. You are not automatically responsible for her parents just because you're dating their daughter. That's not a rule, that's a fear. Somebody on the internet scared you and you believed him. But here's where it gets real. And now I'm going to be very honest. If you move in together and she stops working, or she moves to your country and she legally can't work yet, then their her ability to send home disappears. And that is not a small thing to her. That is her identity. That's her being a good daughter, which is probably the thing she's proudest of in her whole life. And if she suddenly can't do it anymore, she will feel it in her chest every single day. And she probably will not tell you because she doesn't want to be a burden. She'll just get quiet. And you'll wonder what you did. So, what's a normal amount? Let me just say it. For a family in the province, covering the basics, 3,000 to 8,000 pesos a month is a normal, healthy padala. That's 55 to $140. Not a fortune, enough for rice, electricity, and her mother's blood pressure medicine. If a sibling is in college, maybe add 5,000 to 10,000 pesos around each semester. If her parents are older, sick, no income at all, maybe 10,000 a month, around $180. That's the range. That's it. That's the terrifying monster you were scared of. It's the price of a decent dinner where you live. Now, the uncomfortable truth, because I said I wouldn't sugarcoat anything. Yes, there are families who look at the foreigner and see a bank. It happens. I've watched it happen. Suddenly the requests get bigger. Suddenly a cousin needs a motorcycle. Suddenly there's an emergency every single month, and somehow the emergency always costs exactly what you can afford. Suddenly you're expected to fund a birthday party for 40 people because now you're the one who can. And here's the part that actually hurts. Very often she doesn't want it either. She's caught in the middle. She's ashamed. She can't say no to her own mother because in this culture that is almost unthinkable. And she's quietly hoping that you will be the one to draw the line so that she doesn't have to be the bad daughter. So let me give you the actual practical advice because this is the whole point of the section. Set a number together early. Not angry, not defensive, just clear. This much a month for your family, consistently, forever. That's my number. Do you know what that does? It rescues her. Because now, when the cousin asks for the motorcycle, she doesn't have to say, my boyfriend said no. She says, that's not in the budget. And it's finished. And secretly, quietly, she loves you for it for the rest of her life. The men who get destroyed here are never the men who set a number. They're the men who say yes to everything one time out of guilt and accidentally set a new floor. Because whatever you give once becomes the expectation. That's not a Filipino thing, that's a human thing, that's every family on earth. and the amount matters far less than the consistency. 5,000 pesos every month on time forever is worth more to her family than 50,000 once and then silence, because they can plan around it. They can build a life on top of it. The reliability is the actual gift. The money is just the delivery method. Okay, quick little pause before the next part. If this is helping you, it would mean so much to me if you tap that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps my channel grow, and it makes sure you won't miss the next video. Thank you, really. Now, let me tell you the part that most men get wrong. Let's say it works, you're together, you're living here. Now you're not asking what she costs anymore, you're asking what your life costs. And that is a completely different question, because half of that budget was always going to be yours anyway. You were always going to eat, you were always going to pay for electricity. She didn't invent your rent. Let me give you three real tiers. Tier 1, province life. Simple, real, quiet. You're in a small city or a barangay. Rent 7,000, food 12,000, electricity 4,000 with a reasonable amount of aircon. Water and internet 3,000, transport 2,000, her own personal money 5,000, padala 5,000, and some fun money 5,000. That's around 43,000 pesos a month, about $780 for two people. A whole life for two people for less than what a lot of you are paying right now for one car payment and a phone plan. Tier 2, city comfortable, Cebu or a decent part of Manila, rent 25,000, food and eating out 20,000, electricity 6,000. Utilities and internet 4,000, Grab and transport 5,000, her allowance 10,000, padala 8,000, and 15,000 for going out, weekends away, the good stuff. That's about 93,000 pesos, around $1,680 a month. And that is a genuinely lovely life. Restaurants, weekend trips, a nice condo with a pool that you'll swim in twice. Tier 3, Manila expat life, Bonifacio, nice building, nice everything, driver maybe. You're looking at 180,000 to 250,000 pesos. 3,200 to $4,500 a month. And here's my honest opinion. Tier 3 men are not happier. I've met plenty of them. They're not happier. Tier 2 is the sweet spot. And I would say that to you, even if you were my own brother. Now, let me talk about her allowance. Because men ask me about this constantly and nobody explains it. If she's not working or she stopped working to be with you, she still needs her own money, not household money, her money that she doesn't have to explain. 5,000 to 10,000 pesos a month, 90 to $180 that she can spend on lipstick or her friend's birthday gift or a haircut without coming to you and asking permission like a child. I cannot tell you how important this is. A Filipina who has to ask her man for 200 pesos to buy shampoo is being slowly humiliated, and she will not tell you it's happening. She'll just shrink. And one day you'll notice she's not really there anymore. Give her her own money. It's the cheapest dignity you will ever buy in your entire life. Now, the hidden costs nobody warns you about, and these are very real. The Burr months, September through December, That's Christmas here, and Christmas here is not a day, it's a season, and it's the biggest thing in the entire culture. There will be gifts, there will be a reunion, there will be food for people you have never met. Budget an extra 10,000 to 20,000 pesos across those months. Just accept it and enjoy it because it's honestly beautiful and you'll end up loving it more than she does. The fiesta. Every town has one. When it's her town's fiesta, the house is open, everyone eats, and the family that hosts pays. It's once a year, a few thousand pesos. It's the price of belonging, being asked to be a nino, a godfather. This is gonna happen to you, and you should feel honored because it means they've decided your family. It also means you're expected to give a gift at the baptism and remember that child every Christmas for the rest of your life. It's small money, it's a big deal. Say yes. And typhoons, be realistic. Storms come, roofs get damaged. Sometimes the province floods and the family needs help right now. And it's not a manipulation, it's just weather. Keep a little buffer. 20,000 pesos sitting somewhere. You'll sleep better, and so will she. Now, the other direction. She moves to your country. I have to be careful here because I am not a lawyer and I'm not an immigration expert, and I would never pretend to be. Anything about visas, you talk to a real professional. Please, this is only what I've watched happen to my friends. The visa process costs real money. Depending on your country and the type of visa, my friends have told me stories ranging from couple of $1,000s to a lot more once you add the lawyer, the medical, the flights, the documents, and the trips to the embassy in Manila. It takes months, sometimes years. Nobody can promise you an outcome, and anyone who does is lying to you. But here's the cost nobody counts. She lands, and she has nothing. She might not be able to work yet. She has no friends, she has no family, she doesn't know how to get anywhere. Everything is cold and expensive and strange, and the food is wrong, and she can't just walk outside and buy a mango from a lady she's known since she was 9. And she is completely, totally dependent on you for everything. And that is terrifying for her. If you've never been the dependent one, you don't know what that does to a person's spirit. So the real cost of bringing her over isn't the visa fee. It's that for the first year, you're not just her partner, you're her transport, her translator, her comfort, her entire social life, her whole world. That's a job. That's a real job. And most men don't budget for it, not in money, in patience. And the money is real too. Now she's living at your country's cost of living. So all those beautiful cheap numbers I gave you are gone. Now she costs whatever anyone costs where you live. Plus, she still wants to send money home and now she can't earn it. So it's coming from you. I'm not saying don't do it. So many of my friends are living wonderful lives abroad. I'm saying know what you're actually signing up for so you're not resentful about it later. Resentment is the real killer, not the money. Um okay. Now the spicy part. Let's talk about how you know. Because the real question underneath your question isn't how much does she cost? It's is she going to use me? So let me just tell you, friend to friend, signs, it's about the money. And be fair about these. One of them alone means nothing. It's the pattern that talks. One, the emergency arrives before the relationship does. You've been chatting 3 weeks. and there's already a hospital bill. Maybe it's true. But notice something. The amount is always exactly what she thinks you'll say yes to. Real emergencies don't do market research. Two, she never says no to anything you offer. A woman who actually likes you will push back sometimes. No, that's too much. You don't have to. Save it. Real affection has friction in it. Being agreeable about literally everything isn't love, it's customer service. Three, the conversation gets shorter in the months when nothing's moving. Watch this one carefully. Watch how she is in a month where you sent nothing at all. If she's exactly the same, warm, chatty, nagging you about whether you ate, you're fine. You are completely fine. Stop worrying. Four, she's never curious about your actual life, not your job title, not your income, your life, your mother, your friends, whether you slept badly. A woman who loves you is nosy. She wants the boring details. A woman who's working, you only ask the questions that lead somewhere. Five, you feel managed. That's the biggest one. And it's not really on any list because it's a feeling, not a fact. But you know it. You know when it's happening. Every man who got burned tells me the same sentence afterwards. I knew, you know, now the green flags, because I don't want you paranoid. Paranoid men lose wonderful women, and I hate watching that happen. I've watched it happen to good friends of mine, and it breaks my heart every time. She cooks for you and gets weirdly proud about it. She'll fight you over who pays for the tricycle. 30 pesos. She will genuinely fight you over 30 pesos. She gets embarrassed when you buy her something expensive and then wears the cheap thing you gave her instead every day until it falls apart. She wants you to meet her mother way too early, and it's not about money. It's because in her head, if her mother doesn't approve, none of this is real. She wants your time on a random Tuesday afternoon when there's nothing in it for her. And the biggest green flag of all, she has her own money and she stays anyway. She's got a job. She's got options. She could walk out tomorrow and be fine. And she doesn't. Okay, I promise you an expense nobody puts in the spreadsheet. Here it is. It's your presence. That's the bill. That's the one that comes due every single month. And you cannot pay it with money and you cannot defer it. And it's the only one she actually cares about. Remember, I said the men who spend the most on that first visit almost never succeed? Here's why. Because money is the easy currency. It's the one that doesn't hurt. A man will send $500 instead of having a 15-minute honest conversation. He'll book the expensive hotel instead of asking how she's really doing. He'll pay for her sister's tuition instead of remembering that her sister's name is Joy. Money is what a man spends when he doesn't want to spend himself. And Filipinas can tell every single time because we grew up around men who provided and disappeared. It's not exotic to us. It's the default setting. Half the girls you're talking to have a father who sent money home from Saudi or Dubai or from a ship somewhere for 15 years, and she would have traded every peso of it to have him at her graduation. She's told you about him, and you probably thought it was just a sad story. It wasn't. It was the whole instruction manual, and she handed it to you. So when you show up present, consistent, boring, reliable, when you call at the same time every day, when you remember the thing she mentioned last week, when you're just there, you are giving her the exact thing that money could not buy her in her entire childhood. That's why the man spending $300 beats the man spending 2,000 every time. It isn't even close. So, The full breakdown, let me put it all together for you. The dating stage, nothing to $100 a month. The visit, 2,500 to 4,000 once or twice a year. The family, 55 to $180 a month if you're supporting them at all, with a number you set early and hold her own allowance, 90 to 180. Living together, $780 for a beautiful province life, 1,680 for a really comfortable city one, plus a buffer for Christmas and typhoons and the occasional fiesta. And that's it. That's the scary number you came here for. For most of you watching, that's less than you're spending right now alone in a country where you're not particularly happy. But here's what I actually want to leave you with, and then I'll let you go. Don't love her at the level that impresses her for 3 months. Love her at the level you can sustain forever. Because the cruelest thing you can do to a Filipina, and I mean this is the thing that actually breaks us, is to show her a life you can't afford. To be the big generous man for 6 months and then go quiet and get resentful and start counting. She rearranged her entire heart around that version of you. She told her mother about him, and then you took him away and left her with the real one, and now she's the one who feels like she did something wrong. So be honest about your number. From day one, say it out loud. This is what I have. This is what I can do. And I know that feels like it makes you smaller. It doesn't. It makes you real. And a real man she can count on for 20 years is worth infinitely more here than a rich man she can count on for one. And if she leaves over that number, then thank her. Genuinely. Wish her well. She just saved you 3 years, and all it cost you was one honest conversation. But if she stays, if she hears your real number, the honest one, the unimpressive one, the one you were embarrassed to say out loud, and she just shrugs and says, okay, that's fine, we'll manage, then you didn't find someone cheap. You found someone who was never for sale. Next time, I want to talk about what happens when you meet her family for the first time. Because there's one specific thing Filipino parents are quietly looking for, and it is not your bank statement. And almost every foreign man gets it wrong in the first 10 minutes without ever knowing it happened. Before you go, if you enjoyed this and it helped you, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what I share next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.